Alright, it looks like we're live. It's just that the link is wrong. So let me share the link with the people real quick. Jeez. I'm not very good at this, so I'm sorry about the issues. Okay, hopefully everybody on YouTube sees that link. Moving it over. Well, I think that this is probably a fine place to start. I imagine everybody will show up over here. So, welcome everyone. Master says hello, so it looks like you got the message or just joined coincidentally the right link. So, nice job. I'm going to delete the old one before we begin, just so it doesn't confuse anybody. Make sure I'm not deleting something that's live. Okay, I guess I could always just launch it again. Yeah, Restream is not quite working out properly for me. I guess I'll just have to keep dealing with it. So, let's get to it. Looks like we are maybe live on Twitch. Anybody on Twitch who can confirm? Yeah, it looks like we are live. I see my channel now. Okay, good stuff. So anyway, oh, and there's Stream Elements confirming that we're live. Excellent. So welcome to another fan face-off. This one is Shai versus Phoenix. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different and look at the profile of the players with you guys before we begin. So let's go see it. We're going to start with Shai. And here's Shai's account. He's bad swag time on Lichess. And I think it's quite apparent from his profile that he's a complete troll. At one point, there was a funny moment where there was a conspiracy among my students that I was in fact swag time. But it was Shai all along. And that was kind of funny because, I don't know, just a lot of memes came out of that one. So here, Shai is weighing in at 1999 in Rapid. That's his highest time control. And it looked like he's recently performed quite well in that category. Maybe even training for this match. MK, welcome to the chat on YouTube. In Bullet, he's 16-15, but 351 games is a relatively small number of games for Bullet. Don't be fooled, his name is not Peggy Leg, his name is Shai in real life. And he's a pirate. So, let's see, maybe I can click on this. How will that look for you guys? Not very good, honestly. So let's just move on and see Phoenix's profile. Let's see, there it is. So this guy, you'll notice he has a USCF rating posted. And this is after his first tournament. If you guys want to see the interview with him about his first tournament, that's also on my channel. So just search for the first tournament playlist. It'll be there. He's a relative newcomer compared to Shai. Shai's been playing for a long time. But not always under bad swag time. Let's see. What else is interesting? So his rapid is slightly lower than Shai's, 1926. So that means that at least in that time control, we might see a really close match. And that should be interesting. He's recently gained 69 points, which I know will really please some of the viewers here. And I think they're actually evenly matched pretty much across the board. We're playing 2 10+0 games, followed by 2 5+0 games. And even if it's a 3-0 victory, we're going to play the last one just because it's fun. But if it ends up being tied after 4 games, we will play a 3+0 Armageddon game where black has 2 minutes extra, so it'll be 3 minutes against 5 minutes, and I'll explain to the players how to do that if we get down to it. But if black manages to draw or win, then they win the entire match. So that's the format that we're working with here, and at the end we're going to go to a post-mortem. Both of these guys are huge trolls, so I think the post-mortem is definitely worth hanging around for when you guys see the end of the match. Okay, let me just adjust my scenes here. Boop, boop. And I guess now we're going to just see if the players have begun. And there's the board, and there's the players, so I guess they're off to the races then. So we'll just wait to see the first move from Phoenix, who is Mount Fiant. Alright, and so he's played e4. And don't be fooled by their low bullet ratings. Both of these guys play rather quickly. I think it'll be interesting to wager whether or not this will be the fastest match, just based on the playing styles of these players. Oftentimes, when we have a fan face-off, there's at least one player who's pretty slow. But I would say that that is not the case for these guys. In fact, back in the day, Shai would post all kinds of trolly gibberish in the chat while playing Bullet, so most people don't even have time to play their moves in a Bullet game, but he had time to chat, so we'll see maybe in this match if he still has his speed from the olden days when he first started out. Actually, now I'm thinking of it, I wonder if Shai and I started playing chess at a similar time. That might be the case. Yeah, sus move order, for sure, Eater Master. Typically in this opening, white will play c3 before they go ahead with this knight f1 and everything. And maybe we'll see a reason for that. Sometimes when someone plays a different move order in the opening, it's because the main move order is the best for a reason, and sometimes it's just that something good has not been discovered yet, so we'll probably have to see which one this case turns out to be. I'm still pretty stoked about my new Coach Robert mug. I feel like it's a lot nicer than it could have been. Alright, there's knight g4, the true attacking swag time style. Trying to say f2 is weak, and your move order is sus. But here comes Mount Fiant with knight e3, quick as you like. White side taking no losses. I hope we didn't lose any people along the way because of the switch up with the links. I'm going to edit some details in the background while these guys move. I don't know what I did wrong here, honestly. So there's a trade on e3, more or less forced. I think d6 is a pretty common move, but it's abandoning the idea of playing d5 altogether. Probably makes sense considering that a knight was coming on e3 anyway. So now we've maybe sort of transposed to something Italian-like, because c3's played. Very interesting move order, though. Sorry, I need to edit some of the stream stuff in the background. Okay, so it's typical, we see both players doing this, where when the bishops are facing each other, instead of trading it, you just leave them with the opportunity to do it yourself. Such that if they capture your bishop, they could always capture towards the center with a pawn. Or in white's case, capture with the queen if they want to go for piece activity. Okay, so some common sense development here from black, just connecting the rooks, and the queen exerts a powerful influence on the light scores now. Woof, welcome. This is round 1. We started a little bit late because Restream doesn't play nicely with the existing stream schedule. I need to figure out what I did wrong there. But yeah, why hasn't Phoenix castled yet? Great question. Maybe he hasn't decided which way he wants to go. He's broken with d4. If he'd castled, maybe black would have been able to anticipate and prevent d4, so that could be part of his strategy. All those other moves that he spent to get in d4 were at the expense of castling as well. So now we'll see if d4 is good. Yeah, MK has an interesting idea that he might be trying to do something ambitious in the center, and maybe Shai respects it because he just played knight e7. This might be the beginning of another typical maneuver in this opening, where the knight comes to the king side. Interesting decision from Mount Fiant. Or from Shai, depending on how you see it. Yeah, this does give up a pawn, but in response, white is getting tripled pawns. I think the one on e5 probably doesn't count as a tripled pawn, because this tension with the pawn on d6 means it's going to get lost. But black does get maybe some initiative from sacrificing this pawn. That could be what he's up to, trying to ruin white's structure and capitalize on the lack of castling. But of course, Phoenix is castling now. Safety first. So now that the pawns have been traded on d6, white is solidly a pawn up, but the e-pawn looks kind of weak. And black's pieces are slightly more active, maybe. You could probably argue either way, because both of white's rooks are on open files too. Hold on, is the board frozen on stream? I really don't think so. I really don't think the board is frozen if you're seeing that a7 is hanging, because that's what the position on the board is like. Yeah, Wolf has an interesting idea that maybe white could have just left the tension on e5 and taken on a7. I think that makes a good bit of sense. He got it anyway, it turns out. So if I got to have both, I would probably like capturing on d6. But of course now there's rook e4. And again, I think black has some activity to compensate for the pawn. By the way, in case anyone's curious, I think that the reason that the link and everything was messed up today is that I scheduled multiple streams ahead of time. And I think on Restream you can only really do one ahead of time without getting trouble. I investigated that a little bit. I think that's the answer. So bad swag time is now considerably ahead if we're talking in terms of the fraction of time remaining. I think a whole minute when you're around the 4 or 3 minute mark makes a pretty good difference in a 10+0 format. But again, we're talking about two relatively fast playing players. It could just end up being a ballroom blitz at the end. So here's another interesting decision. It's a double attack, but also black has their own attacking ideas available. MK got the move, queen d5, that Phoenix chose. There could have been other options, but this one seems to be most aggressive. And I think especially in Rapid, it pays to be a little bit ambitious. Because there's not enough time to even find the study-like solutions for problems like these. I think that rook takes e3 is a pretty obvious move. And same thing with rook takes b7. Definitely not queen takes b7, because I think trading the queens would remove a lot of the pressure that white has in this position. At the same time, white could probably argue that their endgame is good enough, but I think it's selling short here. Because the queen really has few useful squares after rook takes b7. Master says white is certainly better. I think that is probably a logical conclusion, but there's still a lot of play to be had here. I think I would have hesitated to say that knight g5 and white is winning. This looks like some kind of special sauce is going on here. So in the end, black ended up a knight, but white does have the use of the 7th rank, and this is probably a key moment for the players. A lot of things have changed, and I think Shai might have found the best move here. Because with the knight on f8, the typical ideas involving rook takes h7 are not available. But this is a very dangerous position for black because of the weakness of their king. Dangerous for both sides, really, because black's one rampant rook is also extremely powerful. Now black shuts out the knight, or I'm sorry, shuts out the rook on g3 using the knight on g6. Master says it should be an easy dub, but I'm not so sure. So even if so something that's maybe working against black here is that the rook and knight endgame is not necessarily winning for the extra piece. So for black, it might be an uphill struggle, but practically speaking, having the extra knight is very valuable. Shai plays rook e5, which is preventing the king from advancing further. That seems like it might be a good idea. And now here comes some active moves, looks like. The pawn on h3 is a little bit misplaced here, I would say, because in some positions, obviously not here, but in some positions, probably it would behoove white to play rook h3 and attack the h-pawn to try to get some activity. A lot of tricky business here. There was a temporary threat of playing g4, but now the moment's gone. And dubious decision to trade the rooks here. Maybe not dubious, but I see a pass pawn, and that's quite dangerous. But it also makes sense to think that, oh, interesting choice here. He barely made it back in time. I wonder if that was deliberate. I think they might just both be in a time pressure panic. This is pretty rough. A little bit hard to grasp what's going on here. I guess they want to draw in their first game because of the time pressure. Okay, different move. Always repeat. That's what I hear. Okay, but now the pawns are blockaded and lost. So we're going to see if Phoenix can use his endgame prowess here and salvage the situation. Yeah, this is looking pretty drawish. I think that's what Unimaster is getting at here. Shai did something bold and brash to keep the position alive. Let's see if he's gonna choke. It looks like the answer is no, because we have a threefold repetition draw. Interesting start to the match. So we're going to the next 10+0, with colors reversed, of course. And then after this 10+0 segment, they're going to go to the 2 5+0 games. So evenly matched after one game. I think that might be the first round draw of our series on the fan face-offs. And here we have some kind of interesting Chelyabinsk looking opening. Knight of 3 is a little bit unusual. Yeah, Phoenix did mess it up, but I think Shai messed it up too. They both really made some mistakes there. So I guess they're both feeling the time pressure, even though it's 10+0. If I had to guess as to the cause. It also looks like the opening prep might be a little shaky, because Phoenix deviated very early from a position that's known to be like kind of rich with opportunities for both sides, and he went for something that probably helps black more. I think possibly in that first game we could have seen a d5 break from black if they played a little bit more ambitiously. MK does not like these outposts. Interesting. I think he doesn't like the d5 outpost, this structure. Well, now Swag Time sort of has a free hand on this move, given that they've castled and everything. And he goes for the most active opportunity once again. And Phoenix is playing fast, getting control of the d5 square. Yeah, you might be right, Unimaster, about going for the d5 break earlier. Like right here, maybe. But instead of d6. But I have a feeling that they're autopiloting a little bit. So here we have knight d2 from Shai. It's an interesting decision, because it takes the pressure off of the center right away, and it doesn't really acknowledge the interaction of the bishop and the knight on the queen side. Makes you wonder what exactly Shai is up to here. I think there are plenty of reasonable reasons to play knight d2. He might be staying flexible here, but what I suspected is true, that he's going for the move f4. More like just blind aggression, if I had to characterize it anyway. And whenever you're playing this f4 break, you have options. You could press on to f5, or you could take on e5, or you can just hang out there and be generally annoying, not declaring which one you want to do. And here, Phoenix captured on f4, which I think is pretty logical. At the very least, when someone plays the move f4, if you take, you can put a minor piece on e5, but it's double-edged because then you lose control of d4, and sometimes allowing white to play e5 can be dangerous. And yeah, we're actually getting to the main point of why taking on f4 makes sense, that after rook takes f4, white is obligated to sacrifice. But I suspect that this is to his liking. I think Shai just wants to spice things up and take things they've never been and see what happens. Because there is compensation here. Maybe not full compensation, but it's rapid chess. I guess we'll see. Now after rook f3, I think this might have been an unfortunate choice. Probably rook f1 made more sense. This makes sense thematically, but it's not really looking at what the opponent wants to play. Things look quite dangerous for white, but there is also some pressure against black's king that's kind of building here, so black probably has to be a little bit precise. And the world is their oyster right now, so I guess we'll see what they choose to do with that moment of freedom. I don't think it's bad to spend a minute, MK, to make a decision in situations like this. Okay, now after knight h7, queen g3, the tables might be turning a little bit, because this is the kind of activity that I think white wants when they sacrifice basically two pieces. They're harmonious pieces, at least somewhat. Looking at an unsafe king, it could start to look like compensation in just a few moves. And the onus is on Phoenix to defend a position like this. Some people find it quite uncomfortable to defend, so it could have been part of Shai's preparation for the match, because in match play, I think your opponent's psychology, it matters a lot. So he might have assessed that maybe Phoenix is not comfortable defending good positions where the opponent has counterplay. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that could have been his preparation. Also, I just want to point out that in the first game, at various points, both sides were winning. So just because things have turned one way now doesn't mean this match won't also be like a absurd scramble. Master wants to utilize that outpost square on e5 right away. That's an interesting concept. It looks like Phoenix might have the same idea, but he's being a little more cautious about it. It depends what you mean by cautious, because if you play f6, you are protecting e5 more, but every pawn move has some downside to it, because the pawn will never be able to move backwards again. Yeah, and MK's on point with the chess meme. Never play f6, according to Mr. Feingold. When I was playing chess actively in like 2019, I took like a really long time not playing very much. I think one of my last events I saw Feingold playing. He like showed up in a grout fit, and I swear the guy had Ovaltine under his eyes. He looked so tired. I was like, what's this world doing to you? Is it all that Mountain Dew? Wait, is that his drink of choice? I forget. I think there's some meme about Mountain Dew with Mr. Feingold. So Shai's going for knight h4, aiming for, I guess, an outpost square or maybe another square, rather than the h4 that was suggested by Utermaster, although he suggested both. You don't get to play both, so I guess he had to choose. But this is thematic. Perrier. All right, thank you for the correction. The other day, I had to do a survey about like what is Gelfand's favorite things, and I just picked random stuff like favorite drink cognac. It's probably champagne, honestly. It was a funny survey. It's like, I don't know him. How am I supposed to know what he likes? Knight h4 is a little bit of a teasing move, just saying like, haha, you can't take me because there's a pin. But it also could have like tractable gains associated with it. In a circle, welcome. Yeah, your concept is interesting about why you ought to start with a different move. But if you start with bishop c4 check, then maybe you won't be allowed to play knight h4. So he might have had to choose. And here comes black putting their own piece on an outpost square. This also prevents knight g6, so if any shenanigans were to occur on that square, it would have been prevented by that move. Yeah, so white is invading down a rook. Things are probably more interesting than Phoenix would like them to be, especially since he's also now down about 2 minutes in the 10+0. MK says the bishop can't join, but the position's also open, so it's possible that the bishop will find a way. But I kind of agree in that it would have been nice if white could open up that bishop somewhere along the way. Maybe even at the cost of a pawn. Just say, hey, I'm already down a rook, you can have a pawn too, so that my bishop can join the fray. I think that might have been sensible at some point. And may yet be, because we just don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's nice in the middle of the attack to kind of imagine, like, well, what would, if I could pick up my pieces and put them anywhere, where would I put them? So you guys might want to try that out. Just as a funny thing to think about while we're waiting for Phoenix to decide. Why is it frozen? Hold on. Alright, Queen c7's played. That was an unusual moment. Yeah, Queen c7, attacking c3, I guess, and now h4 with pressure against black's king. But it looks like he maybe thought this through, because now he's playing somewhat quickly. Or else he's in a blind panic. Which, as everyone knows, is the best kind of panic. Yeah, the king f7 move might be suggesting a change of wings for black, but their king might be weak forever because for them to attack on the king side, they probably need their king to not be in the way, right? But if they try to run to the queen side, then white can also attack on the queen side. It's also unclear like what the safe path to the queen side might be, because this knight on f5 is really strong. And Shai is just pressing with his time advantage here. Oh, whenever I click on Discord, it freezes it. That makes sense. Okay, so the king is running. Grace, welcome. Oh, a message from above. My paper just fell off the wall. Yeah, so Phoenix is playing white. I'm sorry, Phoenix is playing black in this game. He played white in round 1. So Phoenix is black in the position on the board, and Shai has white in this position. And it could be anybody's game. It's a really interesting situation that we're in. Yep, Phoenix black, Shai white. Inner Circle has an interesting idea that maybe black should just trade everything off for safety. But I have a hard time imagining black successfully trading off the outpost knight on f5. If you're not too sure about the outpost square strategy, you can check out my video on that topic. And I've gone over outpost squares in a few other videos. One of the nice things about this knight on f5 is that even if you can challenge it, it can be replaced by, for instance, a rook. Now, Phoenix just stepped in something messy and gave up his queen. Earlier, that move was not possible because the bishop was going to only be able to give a check on f7. So actually his move king e8 made this tactic possible. Just shows how it's difficult to play these kinds of positions. But at least his goal is clear now, so he can maybe play a little bit quickly. The goal is now just survive. Things are looking rather grim. And checkmate. Oof, that was pretty bad. Sudden turnaround. So right now it's 1.5 in Shai's favor. That was a rough moment here. So, a little bit of greed. I think the c3 pawn is not necessarily desirable. The players are probably switching to the 5+0 format right now. So Shai won this game, and it was a draw in the first game. So they're going to play 2 5+0 games, maybe after a short break. Yeah, very short, because now we see Phoenix with black again. Maybe he'll get redemption immediately in the 5+0. And of course they'll switch colors when they go to the next one. We're playing the first 4 for sure. The only reason we would go to a Armageddon tiebreak is if it's tied at the end. And that's definitely possible. We'll see. But we're going to see at least four games total here. If anybody missed round 1, or now at this point round 2, you can always watch the replay later on. So Phoenix is busting out some new prep, something different. Master, take care. Yeah, no Latvian today. If you want to see a Latvian Wolf, you should do another challenge, maybe against Shai, or maybe a rematch with Phoenix, depending on the outcome of the match or something. Okay, so is this some pragmatic stuff? What's going on here? d4 is an unusual move, which seems to be Shai's specialty, doing something unusual and dubious, but something you can get away with practically. d4 is a move that you generally want to play if it's safe. So here, I think it makes sense that white is trying to get the pieces off the board as quickly as possible. So we're in some kind of janky Stafford gambit where black is actually up a pawn, which is just weird. You know, you try to sacrifice something and now you're up material. So maybe Shai choked this time when it comes to the opening prep, and now he's going to have to rely heavily on those practical skills to claw back. Because there's a lot of pawns on the board all of a sudden. And I think that for Shai to make a comeback here, he probably needs some activity. And with the queens already off and all the knights are off for white, it seems like it might be difficult to get that kind of play that he needs. I can see it happening though. Okay, maybe not with f4. I'm not sure. That's an interesting idea. It could be good. Just gaining some space on the king side, activating some pieces. Bishop e6 is an interesting decision. Playing very fast here. Maybe too fast. f6 is also interesting. I thought that white was going for a different idea here. So now black's king is potentially weak, but black's pieces are active now. Yeah, very greedy. But I don't think taking on a2 is too much in this position. It's just that he needed to follow up maybe a little bit differently. We'll see. Wolf has an interesting suggestion. And it looks like it's still available, c4, cutting off the bishop from the knight while the rook attacks the knight. And this was actually there a couple moves ago instead of f6. In fact, I think c4 was very, very good before, because the bishop had no square, I think, when the pawn was on f5. So now it's not too late to blunder back a piece, but he doesn't. But the black pawns are rolling, and it's a formidable force, except for one thing. Pawn takes b5 looks like losing some of that compensation. Alright, the pressure's on that a pawn who was running. I think it was important for it to run b and a pawn, not just the a pawn. There might have been a tactical moment there for a second. Hold on, what was going on there? No, probably not. Okay. Just checking something. And black's activating the rook on b8. Looks like a good idea. But what about that a pawn? I see a lot of attacking pieces there. I think this is the most accurate move, because black was threatening rook b1 check, and that would be a double attack on the king and the rook, and if they take, then the a pawn would promote to a queen. But this way there is no a pawn to promote, and so that tactic is just not working. And black should probably not try any funny business here. h6 is pretty odd. I really thought he would just take on f6. I'm not sure that check really did a lot of good. At some point, they have to just get rid of this pawn on f6, I think. Yeah, I don't know why he's refusing to take on f6. h6 was super weird. Allowing... Okay, here I thought white would play rook g3 and pressure black into playing g6, so they would have a permanent enclave on the dark squares. But this, since black just refuses to take, might be like a good exploitative play. We can just take that, yeah. Yeah, and this looks like game, honestly. Yeah, there it is, mate. So the f pawn ended up being like completely decisive. So that one was for Shai. So it's 2.5 in Shai's favor. I think that means the match is decided, and this last one's for the memes. No, actually, because if Phoenix wins this game, it's tied up, and then they go to Armageddon. So he's still in the match, although his start was not very good, and we're back in the mainline Italian stuff with c3 here. In the first game, he played knight bd2, which was a little unusual. Confusing the audience, as they say. And Shai is still going for the d6 setup. He's not trying any d5 stuff here. Just simple common chess and a little bit of sharp stuff. It seems like that strategy has worked really well for Shai until this moment, where he's blundering a piece to a double attack in the center. So this could be a comeback game for Phoenix. Both players are playing like super fast. I wonder what was wrong with taking on d5. Maybe he just wants the activity, like he doesn't care for the d-pawn. But for me, I think the d-pawn comes with activity. So I would just disagree on that count. Interesting. See, I think black would have a lot more play here. Actually, maybe that's why he didn't take on d5. He knows he blundered a piece, and he doesn't want to play for that kind of compensation. It might be hard to play solidly down a piece. So I guess I have to tip my hat to that way of thinking, if that's what he was getting at. But without that light square bishop, it's really hard to drum up that kingside counterplay. Yeah, in a circle, you got the right idea. I think snatching it was still the right decision, though. And the bishop's not stable on g5, but probably they just don't care about things like that at this point, because this capture is... Well, here, I thought that black would make a different decision here. I totally get like any decision that they make, being down a piece, they just want to like shake things up. But I thought it would be more interesting to play g takes f6, given the circumstances. You know, just spice things up even more. Unlimited spice. Why is it spicy? And again, yeah, so Phoenix was settling into a long think to play rook takes e4, and I think that's a very reasonable move. The idea is clear, you just want to take a pawn and control the open file. Black still has some activity, though. I think as long as black plays actively, they'll have some chance of making a comeback down material. So I think this makes sense, even though it trades pieces. Sometimes you have to trade some pieces to stay active. It's just unfortunate when you're down material. Yeah, f2 could be a little bit weak. That's a good point. That could be what we're looking at here right now. And again, every time Shai gives Phoenix a moment to think about something nice, Phoenix slows down a lot, which has been maybe double-edged in this match, because sometimes he slows down and plays a really bad move. I don't know if I would blame the time management for that, though. I still think slowing down and looking for your options is the way when your opponent's presenting something to you. But I think during your training, it's good to work on building your speed so that you can quickly and confidently make those good decisions. Like, you see an opportunity, you quickly calculate and find out how it works, and then, just go in for it. This is sort of expected, that now that Black's pressure on f2 is sort of reduced, we're seeing the knight coming in and the rook coming in for white. That extra piece is showing itself. Knight takes c6 is impossible because of rook takes e8. So that's how this is justified. Bishop b6 is a sad move to make because of f4 being on the menu. But there probably is some counterplay to be had, nevertheless. Because f4 itself is a weakening move. See, only Swag Time is allowed to play f4 and win. It's his move. So Phoenix taking the move out of the playbook might be a little bit shaky. Yeah, there's the check. So it's actually, even though f2 was a target, it's important for the pawn to stay on f2 to deny counterplay. Which doesn't mean that white's doing worse here necessarily. I mean, they were up a piece and still are. But this does look a little bit like counterplay. For instance, for instance, the knight hanging on c6. So now it's completely equal in terms of pieces. And the pawn structure is really interesting, so definitely not like a dry kind of equality, especially with the knight versus bishop imbalance. Understandable that Phoenix is thinking for a while here, because the position has just changed drastically. Now, if you guys had seen my recent video about the knight and its personality, you would know the knight is really good at one particular thing that might be useful in this position at some point. Not necessarily right now, but the knights are very good at blockading. And I think that we might see the knight blockading either at least one pawn along the way. I think it'll become necessary because Black has this big 4 versus 2 majority on the king side. That's basically going to become a queen. Hold on, what is going on here? Oof. That does not look so good. Rook takes e5 was a crazy looking move. So no blockade. Oh geez, I thought he was going to play like knight e4 or something. Or maybe like blockade the f-pawn. So this was the match, I guess. Just a half for Phoenix. A little bit rough. So I guess we'll go to the players. Let me see if I can get them in a voice channel. Hey guys, can you hear me? Hold on, I need to change my audio output because I'm 80 years old and get this wrong every time. First of all, can the viewers hear their audio? Just want to get a confirmation that you guys can hear the voice channel being picked up. I might need to put headphones on for this. Give me 1 second to go grab those. Where did I put them? Yeah, right there. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Hello? Yes.
You know what's funny? I put on my headphones and now it comes out on my speakers.
Nice.
Alright, can everybody hear the players now? In the chat? That's so frustrating. I have to put on my headphones for it to come out my regular speakers. There's always something wrong with me.
Yeah, scuffed stream, 0 out of 10.
Honestly, yeah, I am not that pleased with my performance with that. Alright, so Jumping Chess Horse on Twitch says that they can hear everyone, which is great. And thank you for joining on Twitch, since I put in so much effort for it to actually show up on Twitch.
Thanks, Jumping Horse.
Alright, cool. So, Phoenix, Shai, how are you guys doing today?
Could be better.
Could be better? Yeah, I get that.
Life is good.
Life is good, no? As Daniel Dubov would say, I guess.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So, Shai, you just kind of took the match away, right? How do you feel about it?
I felt pretty good. I mean, I feel like in every game, Phoenix was winning at some point.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me bump your volume a little bit.
Therefore, that was very much the swag time playing style.
Did you say attacking playing style?
The swag time playing style.
Oh yeah, the swag time playing
Already
style.
lost a piece in every game.
Classic.
Yeah, it's a classic swag time move. Actually, the swag time legend goes back to the ancient times. When did we first use swag time, Shai?
Sophomore or junior year of college.
Yeah.
2014?
Yeah, it was around like 2012, 2014, something like that. So the swag time memes are from the early days, pretty much. In fact, was Lichess even up at that point? Probably.
I think we were first on chess.com then.
Yeah, we were. The one thing that I really liked was when... Oh, by the way, I saw... You probably remember... So I saw Will on Twitch, like, on Friday. So he's still out there somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Been out in a while.
But yeah, what we used to do is we would log in on swag time on chess.com, and then, like, the three of us would rotate playing bullet, where, like, one of us would sit and make a move. The other person would type on the keyboard, which was an ergonomic keyboard. So... Like, whenever I had the keyboard, I'd type on it like it's a normal keyboard and mess up. Like, I just write some crazy nonsense. And then we'd pass it to the next person. They'd write some swaggy moves, bro, type, like, trolling stuff. And that was a great time. It was hilarious back in the day. So let's go to game one, maybe. I'll go
I have to say about game one is I had a really bad misclick towards the end of it.
Oh, really? For the extra memes. Do you think that's how you could attribute the draw when probably you were winning?
I think so. Let me try to find what move it was.
And to Vedant, who just tuned in, welcome. And Shai won the match with, what was it, 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
A repeat.
Yeah, always repeat.
Of course.
So Phoenix, I was curious about why you played knight d2 in this position. Can you see it on the stream?
Knight bd2?
Yeah, that's the one.
I should castle. I was thinking, I mixed up some moves. I have, like, some preparation to get my knight to f1 and then g3.
Right.
But not in this line. This line I should play c3 or castle.
So you just put the cart before the horse?
Yeah.
Much? Okay. Yeah, this is a typical idea after you've already played c3. So we can always talk about that more when we get to the later game where you actually chose c3 as a first move.
Yeah.
Okay. Shai, how did you feel about this?
Good.
Shai, what do you think about knight bd2? Did we lose Shai?
Hey.
Hey Shai, what do you think about knight bd2?
Yeah. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I have either.
I thought it was a little slow.
Yeah, I thought it was slow too. Another thing about knight bd2 instead of c3 is that it doesn't prepare d4 at all. So you could probably try some more aggressive stuff. Like, maybe... I don't know. I don't want to criticize too much on this move, but, like, you can definitely try to be more aggressive, and I think you did, so we can go into that. Knight g4 looks like a pretty good move. Another way maybe you could go here is with d5. Did you ever consider d5 in the match, Shai?
Yeah, I never know when to play exact move order in any of these Italian games, so I tend to play a little safer.
Gotcha. Like just things that you know are like better on average, like in different positions. Yeah, like let them make the bold statements. Yeah. So I think here basically what I'm seeing is just their pieces are a little more out of play than they would be otherwise. So we're attacking the center, trying to open it up. That's the basic thing. Like, so they kind of have to take this because they don't have support with the knight on f1, and then you just have active pieces. So I think in a really basic way you can understand it like this. Whether this is different from the main line or not, I don't know. So maybe we should just keep going with knight g4, which is also an interesting option. I kind of like the move d6 because it's saying if you want to get rid of my knight, you have to put work into it. So I appreciate that. But you did have another option here, Shai. So what do you think about this one? What would you play here? Besides d6?
I was thinking of the takes knight and the trade there, but I figured it would open his rook on the f column after castling.
Yeah, that makes some sense. Maybe it would look like this in the end. Yeah, I could see you going either way on that one. I do think that the structure will be weak, but they're going to play d4 at some point. So you could slice it either way. I think you made a pretty good decision to play d6. And I think probably Phoenix was happy to play h3. What do you think, Phoenix?
Yeah, I considered c3 because I realized my mistake, but then I was like, well, h3 makes a lot more sense because he has some ideas if I don't get this knight out, because his knight's misplaced. So I was thinking, like, should I just leave it anyway? Because
I don't think the knight is.
I think it's actually doing a lot of things.
Yeah, that makes some sense.
I kicked it.
Yeah, another thing, maybe, let's say you played c3, like what you were anticipating, right? You might get in a situation like this where they just replace it with another piece and you have to play h3 anyway.
Yeah.
At some point.
That's why I played h3, yeah.
I think it makes sense. So here we go with that. And I commented during the match about how you guys both did this instructive thing where you don't initiate the trade on e3. So I thought that was good. And queen d7 looks like another one of those kind of like normal, has to be good kind of moves from Shai. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but it seems like a general purpose move.
It was pretty general.
Okay.
Generally, after they play h3, I like to line up the bishop and queen on that.
In case they castle.
Yeah.
For this.
Future tactics.
Yeah. In this situation, maybe... Let's see if it's working, actually. Because there's this move. That looks kind of...
My other pieces aren't there, so I like to have like at least one more piece to back up the queen.
Yeah, so maybe you'd improve before you go for it. Yeah, I think that makes some sense. Like, maybe play king h8 and then f5. Try to get the rook in before you go for bishop h3. But that'll give them a chance to get rid of the bishop, so it probably means it's just not meant to be. Like, they could probably safely castle here. But Phoenix chose something a little bit more ambitious with d4. And this is actually similar to the position we got later in the match. So I'm guessing maybe you just forgot to add a move in that last game where the pieces got forked with d5. We can come to that when we get there. But I think bishop b3 now makes a lot of sense. Another way you could go maybe is just take... Like, they'll replace it with another pawn, but I wonder about not just bishop takes b3 now, but like this. Just to say, like, hi, I'm here, I'm attacking your king. You have to trade some pieces now. Something like that. Or maybe you could play d5. These all seem like kind of interesting alternatives, maybe to consider. But this activates white's rook a little bit, which is why I was strongly considering other options. But it still looks fine. Knight e7 was a weird moment, so this is not the mouse slip you're talking about, right, Shai? This is something that you did on purpose. Yeah, I was thinking that maybe you were just trying to sack the pawn for compensation, or you just missed it. So, which one was it?
I missed it.
Okay, yeah. You got good compensation at some point, though, at least considering the time control. Because you messed up the pawn structure really badly for white. And then after knight g6, they have to make some decisions about how to handle the pawn structure. And I think Phoenix maybe made some suboptimal decisions here.
Yeah, I've done that before.
No kidding. Yeah, suboptimal decisions is our specialty, maybe.
I wasn't too unhappy until I blended the knight, though. I thought I had like plenty of compensation for the. I mean, I'm up material, but I wasn't too worried about the pawns because I can just like grab his pawns on the queen side.
Welcome to Thomas Cat in the chat. I've seen your comments before, so I'm glad you could join us live today. Yeah, I agree that you had good compensation at some point. Like, castling seems perfectly good. I don't see anything wrong with that. You could probably even take this.
Yeah, I was just debating between the two, but I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, I think this is a good whatever, especially because black could easily blunder, given that it's a pretty fast game. Like, 95's a complete disaster.
Yeah, props to Shai for not, like, giving up or anything. He, like, really played to the end every single game.
Yeah, I think that's something that's always been true for Shai. I don't know, maybe Shai feels differently, but I feel like you always play to the end, even if you have to play 300 extra moves to do so.
I tend to.
Mm-hmm.
Although I tend to also make fun of my opponents to try to play to the... Maybe I'm a little bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah. Sometimes I think that we troll or meme on the things that we see in ourselves that we don't necessarily like, so maybe there's a little bit of a Freudian lie down on the couch type thing there too. Just fishing for memes. So, rook e8, pressuring this pawn makes a lot of sense. And now this d6 pawn's weak forever, but the e pawn's weak as well. I thought rook a7 was good for Phoenix. Rook e4 made a lot of sense for Shai, and I thought queen d5 was nice. So, I think this position is kind of like best play from both sides.
I thought way too much here, though.
To play rook b7?
To play queen d5 and maybe rook b7. I think both of those I just spent too much time on.
Yeah, what other options did you consider here?
I was just making sure it all worked out. I wasn't really considering options because I knew like this was where I thought it was good. I was just checking to make sure it was,
like not blundering.
And I was like kind of in my head too much.
Oh, okay. So you weren't just blunder checking; you were kind of like obsessing over it, maybe.
I was blunder checking, but yeah, a bit obsessing too.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you start repeating the same line over and over in your calculation in your head, then you're at some kind of psychological risk. It's better to just calculate it once, have like a firm decision, and be done with it. But I think you know that. Now, someone in the chat, I think it was Yeatermaster, said knight g5, white's winning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
I thought the same thing.
Interesting decision. This is one of those moments for prophylaxis. Shai, did you anticipate knight g5 when you were going to this position? Like, or were you just playing queen d8 because it's like your only move?
Mostly it was my only move. I saw that this was possible, but...
So you're trying to keep an eye on... You're trying to keep an eye on g5 when you put it here? Because you had three options, and I was wondering which one you would pick on stream. I was like, should you play queen c8 to keep an eye on the rook on b7, or should you play queen e8 to try to get rook e2 in, and like just give up this d pawn because it's weak? I don't know, maybe...
I wanted to keep an eye on the pawn.
Like, not lose it right away, make them work for it. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense too.
Also, I wanted to note that there was a possibility that when this rook moves, the queen can check the king with rook moves. So
oh, like on b6 or something?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds right. So this is just a generally good square for it, and it worked out pretty nicely here that rook e5 is winning a piece. I don't think there's any way out. Here's an interesting idea that I just thought of. Maybe I'm just like completely nuts. What if you play queen f7? This is the only move. And now we're going for that same rook g7 type business.
I actually did see this and thought that's what he would go for, and I wasn't entirely sure I was winning.
Maybe this is a draw. Let's see. I don't think so. Like, I'm just kind of calculating in a
I thought the
hazy
king
way.
escaped in this line.
Like, this way? Like that?
Oh, that also probably might work. I just thought the king could just kind of crawl over, and like you're okay with the knight. 'Cause the knight can block a check.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Like, even if you went this way.
Yeah, the knight just blocks, right? So if you go to e8, eventually your king can go to e8 and you just block.
Yeah, like there's no
With the knight.
counterplay here. Or, like, maybe here. Because I'm not trying to play this, but you just have knight here anyway.
Yeah.
I guess all you have to do is throw a check first so you don't lose your queen. When you move the knight to f8.
Yeah, queen e3, and I think black's just fine.
The tricky business here, I mean, it's only tricky business. Like, let's just throw a random move here. Check. Then there's this check, and you lose the knight, and then it's counterplay. But I still agree, like, black's totally winning. So, I guess it's not. Like, maybe, how much time do we even have at this point? Do you guys remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think we had a few minutes at this point.
Oh no, I do. I have
Oh, it's here
and a
now,
half,
yeah.
and Shai has like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I think when we were in the variation, the time stamp went away. So there's plenty of time to work it out. So probably queen f7 is like too desperate. Like maybe in extreme time pressure, you could try it.
I thought mine was
This is
desperate, but
crazy.
like
Uh-huh.
it was like Tinder date desperate. You know, it was not too bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the right way to go. It has the same kind of counterplay, but you're not down a huge amount of material. And
Yeah.
and rook and knight versus rook can often be a draw, so it makes sense. I really like this defending move, Shai. This was a nice idea. I don't think there's any.
I was scared here.
I think you should be, but it's still probably the best move. I wonder if you have an option even like. Because if you defend with the rook, it's like you're just using your rook. Like one other option I saw was this, but I don't think this is good. You know, because king h2 preparing g4, you might get into some kind of trouble, some shenanigans. For instance, let's say we start going like Happy Gilmore over it. So once the king is here putting pressure, you can't play just any move. Like, for example, if we play this, then this move is winning a piece. And then it becomes anybody's game again. So this is the kind of thing to look out for, and that's part of why I think your move is much better. That, you know, the knight, it's not coming out anytime soon, but it's definitely keeping everything in check.
I figured that there was no way to, if I gave him like 100 moves, he needs to still sack a rook for a minor piece.
Yeah, probably to make any progress. So let's see, rook g3. I thought knight g6 was good too, shutting the rook out. And I think this is where the chaos really began, because I think for black now it's a matter of, or as they always say, a matter of technique. And probably here the best thing to do is activate your king. Like throwing this extra check, it just helps white to improve their king. In fact, I think the only reason you threw this is because you see that king e2 runs into knight f4. What do you think?
I was definitely playing for tricks.
Yes, okay. But here you don't have to play for tricks because you're up a piece. So like maybe you should go here. And if white tries to, I don't know, be bold and brash and do something like that, you can protect your rook with the king maybe, or just like let the king be its own piece. I'm not sure which is better, because what I want to do is like protect this d pawn and go attack the queenside pawns with 2 pieces and just win them, and then come back and do it on the king side. I think that makes a lot of sense.
What do we have left right here? I think we were both at around a minute.
Yeah, that was about right. It was like a bullet
2
game at
minutes
this
and
point.
2 minutes and 1 minute. But I think even in bullet, you should just improve your king. Like this check improving their king, you're gonna have to think really long later when the king's on like d5. But yeah,
See, the standard endgame lesson: player with the king wins.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
lead with your king, guys, always.
The player without the king loses. I think that's how the saying goes. So keep your king. I thought here that we would see this pawn moving, but I guess this is all just time pressure shenanigans. So maybe we should get to the part where... Oh, actually, this is an interesting moment, too. So trading rooks seems a little bit like too spicy to me. It's it creates a big chance that your knight can't make it back in time. But that being said, I don't think it's totally crazy to bring the knight like as quickly as possible through f5 to like c8, because both of these pawns are on the b file, right? You just want to be here and stop it. Like maybe they go here, we go here, they go here. I guess we have to go to b8, not because we're not in time to go on b6. And this should be winning for black. Probably this is the way to go.
This is coming up to where I made the misclick.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to move the knight over on one of the moves, but I moved my king instead.
You played king
F6.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is insane. Why did you do that? I thought maybe you wanted them to play b7 before you bring the knight, but that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it was an interesting
at that
moment.
point, I was just really happy that the knight could in fact get there in time.
Yeah, if the king was on like on like g3, you'd be totally out of luck. So this check saved you. I think I showed a study to Phoenix the other day where you have to use some checks like this to bring the knight fast enough. It's a pretty common theme.
Yeah, obviously Shai studied.
Yeah, clearly Shai was well prepared. What?
Knights are my favorite piece.
Knights are pretty cool.
They're the swaggiest.
Yeah. I like to call them horsey to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think here, like, we repeated a bunch, and I'm not sure this is worth analyzing because this is, like, so drawn.
There's just one thing. I don't think this is even a draw. So after...
I felt like white could win, but...
I think black can win. Because after king b7, how are you going to get back and take the h-pawn in time? Like, if you play here, I'm gonna take that pawn. Well, maybe I'll play.
How exactly does black make progress here?
I want to win the queenside pawns. So like maybe go here first. We'd have to analyze this like a little bit thoroughly to figure it out, but I don't think black's in any risk if they try this, because worst case scenario, you just come over and make a draw like what you did. So this move puts pressure on white, because if they go here, we play this. And now they have to move away. Hold on. Maybe we should go... Alright, maybe not this one. Alright, so this was the thing that was concerning me, that they could play b7 here and get counterplay. But I think now, when they play b7, we are the ones who are getting the play. Because we can go here and here and run them out of moves, probably. Because let's say you go here, we go here. If you play c6, I'm taking it, and that's clearly good. Go here. Check. If they play c6. So, like... Actually, maybe it's not so easy. It's interesting.
Yeah, dude, chess sucks.
Yeah, maybe it's not that easy. I thought that you would be able to win these pawns. There might be a way, I'm just not seeing it. I'm gonna flip on the engine real quick and see. No, it's equal. Okay, so we probably didn't miss anything. Okay. So, or maybe I'm looking at the wrong position, because I remember there was a point where you could blockade and you're winning at this point. Maybe
I thought once I gave up, sorry.
No, I think at this point, but go on. What was your comment?
Oh, I thought, yeah, like, once I got to this position and I just had to give up my pawns, I was like, black is just gonna win. Like, I gave up the whole game.
I think that might be the case at this point, because after you lose this pawn and this pawn, probably instead of moving their knight over, they should bring their king first to, like, prevent the king from getting to the corner. Like,
yeah.
Like, go here. And
I thought even here, it was still fine for black.
Mm-hmm. Here I'm tempted to play king e7, king c6, king f6. No, that's a draw. So we probably have to play like something very conservative to keep the h-pawn safe. Like, let me see. Positions like this are often kind of study like they're hard. You just so like in the blitz, in the time pressure, it doesn't really make sense to be like, okay, you have to solve this now. But like it's something to play for, something to look out for. You're not going to play precisely, but you could get a chance. Okay, so let me say I just play this, then you get over and you're in time for a draw, right? That's just like the game. So so maybe go here. But I think if you go here, I can't play knight g7. Yeah, I think this might just be a draw. Let's check it again real quick. Actually, no, it says black wins here after king c5. Oh yeah, not king d7. You play knight e7. So king d7 was a waste. So after knight e7, you can't go there. You have to go here. Oh yeah, and this way they cannot come and get the pawn. The knight's covering this, and the king will cover this. So this way we can win the pawn. Just bring the knight a little bit differently. So we bring the king here first, and then not this, but knight e7. Okay, this is kind of interesting. This should win. Okay, so there was a win here, but it's like a little hard to find. Or maybe here you're fast enough too, because you can go behind the pawn. Actually, yeah, this is winning as well. Like you just go here. And the reason this is winning is you don't have a draw like in the bishop and pawn versus king, because like let's say we do the thing where you just go in the corner, right? Check. Let me see.
You just need to maneuver the knight so it covers
A8
f2
or 8.
Oh,
wait, which one?
3.
Wait, you mean like here? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. It broke up a little bit.
Okay. Knight d3 to knight f2.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like they go here, and then we just push the pawn. Yeah, so this is why it's not an easy draw. So once we win that pawn, it's really good enough. So how'd this happen in the game again? So you played knight g4 instead, but you could have played knight g6. So maybe we don't even need to think about king c7 stuff. I think knight e5 is probably winning already. It's super fast.
Yeah, I was really wondering why he didn't try that. Like, I think at this point he was just playing for a draw, so I just kind of took the draw.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I thought this was at this point. It was just a lot of time pressure.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with it for game one.
Well, this was a really interesting game. I think the other two games were a little bit faster, so let's go to those. Is this the next game? Alright, so this is the next 10 plus 0. And yeah, okay, so in this game, we got a Sicilian. Shai, how do you feel about this this Sicilian variation when you face it?
I've never really studied it specifically, but I always feel like it yields back into more other standard E4 lines.
Okay.
But
Like,
I always feel like I'd be comfortable with it. I mean, I guess maybe I shouldn't be.
no, I think it's fine to feel comfortable against this. I actually like playing against this opening because the d5 score is weak. I think one person in the chat, August, also said he hates playing this kind of position as black. But I do want to point out that knight f3, I think it's not that big of a test because of this move bishop b4. I just think that Phoenix might have misplayed it. I think that a good way to play is with knight b5. And you have to learn like a little bit of theory, but I think it's pretty rewarding because if they play something simple like a6, you just get the bishop pair and kind of they can't protect d5 for the rest of the game very effectively. And if they stop that with d6, you can get a lot of activity. Like this is kind of a forced line. They play a6, b5, knight d5. And here black has some options, but it's pretty typical to see knight f6, bishop g5, and you have full control of the outpost square. You'll play like c3, knight c2, knight e3. And this is a kind of nice idea. So you might want to look into that just as a special thing against this, because I think it'll be pretty easy for you to play with your style.
Okay, will do.
And okay, so the way the game went, I think bishop b4 gives a lot of pressure to white. Phoenix, how do you feel about this position?
I thought this was okay. I kind of prepared for this. I knew Shai was going to go into this, so I thought like this was fine. But it seems like you think otherwise, but I'm still perfectly fine playing this.
Oh, it looks like Will is actually in the Twitch chat. Shai, neon green is Will. So.
Oh, I will.
That's kind of fun. We just mentioned him. Okay, so bishop d3, I guess, is kind of necessary. And I think people in the chat wanted to see d5 here. You could imagine a rousing chant if it makes you feel good.
I was considering d5, but I was just like, well, I know d6 is also fine, so...
Yeah, but I think if you can get d5 in, it's even better, because like d6 is sort of something you tolerate. It's like, I'm doing this so I can have active pieces. But if you can have both, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So here, the threat of d4 is pretty strong, as well as the threat of pawn takes e4. They're both just really good. So I think that they have to take, and now you just get this big pressure on c3. And like maybe you can get e4 in at some point. I mean, I doubt that, but it's an idea all of a sudden that you can play that like later in the game. So this might be a place to look for an improvement against this particular setup. Like if you prepared this against Shai, I would have looked at d5 pretty strongly.
I might have. I'll be honest. I didn't sleep very well, which sounds like an excuse, but like I kind of forgot all of my prep for especially this line. I think Italian I remembered, but this I forgot.
It's okay. Not sleeping well definitely happens. But it's lucky that this is just like a casual online thing, not a tournament. Yeah, so here we got some interesting counterplay. I was wondering if we would see a move like knight d5 here. Like just avoiding the bishop takes c3 stuff. In fact, I thought that knight d5 or knight e2 was such an interesting idea that maybe after castling, black should just take this immediately to cash in on the structure.
I thought about that. I wasn't sure.
Another option maybe is bishop g4. This looks a little bit like naive because we have this weird thing that mostly only happens in beginner games, but knight d4 is a real threat. And we still have bishop c3, so I don't know if they can like endure both. You're kind of just developing pretty freely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like that a lot. But now Shai has something similar with bishop g5. And this f4 break was kind of interesting because it entails a piece sacrifice. Shai, did you plan to sack a piece when you played rook takes f4, or did you just miss it?
I just missed it.
Okay.
And then thought compensation after.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You're like, well, not looking at the moves that weaken black's king. I guess I'll take what I get when it happens. I think it's just sad that you stepped in rook f3. Maybe what you should...
Yeah, me too.
Maybe what you should do... Yeah, I would be. I think what you should do is maybe play like rook f1, so that when they take this, like you don't have a pawn, but you have the better structure. And go for something like, I don't know, just hyper aggressive, like knight d5. Or maybe...
I was thinking of rook f1, and if, I saw the bishop move, I definitely would have played it, but I wanted to have the possibility of getting the other rook over.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You got a lot of compensation considering how you gave up the rook. I think you had some other danger that you needed to avoid as well. So like looking at this line, right? There's this idea of bishop c5 check that I think Phoenix missed. Or I think bishop c5 makes more sense. You also have queen b6 with a similar idea.
What am I missing here?
That after king h1, knight g4 is very strong.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
It's super strong. Like you're maybe winning a bishop and a queen or something. I'm not too sure. Maybe knight d1 is gonna hold it all. But
I was kind of too complacent after like pinning the rook to the queen. I thought like I would just be able to.
Yeah, I see that. I kind of you're also playing really quickly and confidently here. Like, at least I thought so. Like,
I mean, wouldn't you if you're up like that much material? I don't know.
no, I would take my time and make sure I win.
Yeah, but
Because like there's no rush because you're not at risk, right?
that's true.
Rushing is kind of the enemy. Or
Yeah,
should I
he
say,
rushes.
Rush is the enemy? Yeah. Numan Nomar just followed on Twitch, so thank you. Let's see. So chop chop, and now Black has some more compensation for being up a rook. I thought Knight H4 was a good idea. F6 seemed kind of weird to me, like very like passive defending. You're like, you might want to play Knight E5, but you're worried to sack a pawn even though you're up a rook. So you play F6, which weakens the light squares and doesn't substantially improve the dark squares. What do you think about this decision, Phoenix?
I was trying to confuse the audience. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It worked.
I really thought like King H8 might have been better. I was scared of E5, and I just kind of wasn't sure as to like the best way to defend, like to glue everything. So I thought like I thought that would be better, but I was scared of that. And I thought maybe after F6, Queen, maybe H1 or so. He has like the knight can get in. So I thought like after F6, I could just kind of glue things with Queen. What is it? D7 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you ended up playing Queen C7, which also makes a lot of sense for the same reason. What I thought, and what maybe at least one other person in the chat thought, was that you might just sack a pawn for equality.
I should have.
Because there's no knight anymore, right? You're up a rook. You lost one pawn. Boo-hoo. You play like Queen F6 maybe here, and then like what attack can materialize? There's nothing anymore. So this is a standard way. I think it's called like Tarash's rule or something, where like there was a saying where Tarash said, if your opponent gives you material, it's always going to be polite and give it back. And he was a funny guy, so he's just being facetious. But there's some truth in it that like you're up a rook, you should just give back a pawn so the attack is gone. If that makes sense.
Always listen to Tarash.
Yeah, always listen to Tarash. He has some other funny quotes about like how he's never played anyone who's healthy. Like they're always complaining about how they're sick or tired or something like that. Yeah, so the knight got an F5, which is really strong. And I think that here it's just unfortunate that you eventually decided to take that C pawn. That's kind of the whole story. But on the backside of it, like something a chess computer will probably not tell you is that your idea to bring your king over to the queen side for safety doesn't make that much sense. And that's probably why you ended up in this bad situation.
Yeah, here I was just confused because I just had like no possible way to get my king safe.
Yeah.
I just did not see how to continue at all.
I would go for a counterattack on the king side probably. Like
Yeah,
play
I
this.
considered that, but I just didn't see like how one could form.
I think Shai would play H5. Shai, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you would play this to try to keep some pieces in the fray. If you took on G5, then we might see
I didn't
like
see a way of getting through if I took. It would just straight off.
Rook G8 also looks very good. I don't think you can defend it appropriately. Oh, G6 here maybe, but then Rook G no. Okay, so they'll just take it and then play Rook G8. That was kind of my main
I
idea.
mean, even knight takes right away. I didn't see.
Yeah, I got a little
Okay,
excited there
that'd be good for me.
for an attack on the G file. I think just taking back makes sense with the idea of Rook G8. So I think this is how Phoenix should have gotten counterplay.
I was hoping to get that actually. I calculated that line. I just didn't go into it because I don't know.
You just didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I
King-
saw, but I didn't like it. Or
It's
something.
easier to make like 10 king moves
Yeah,
and
for
lose your
sure.
queen. So
Lead with your king, dude. Come on.
yeah, if you don't lead with the king, how can you expect the others to follow? Queen takes C3 is not good. So we can just turn away and
Yeah, that was. Oh my god.
maybe-
that was time pressure, whatever.
maybe what you can do here is castle. No, just kidding. You can't. That'd be nice. But maybe what about G4 with the idea of knight G5 and bring the queen over or something like that. Like attack this weak H pawn.
I think something to note is I had 20 seconds to like 2 minutes, I think, or something like crazy here. I like had no time.
Right now you have 1 minute and 13. He has 3 minutes and 10.
I thought something like that. I thought there was like a big time imbalance, and I think that was my fault for not really managing my time better in this game.
I guess you're feeling a lot of pressure when you have like a minute left, right?
And I feel like for me in this game, I could move quickly knowing the position was already lost pretty much all the time.
That's true. In fact, I think some people try to get a lost position from the beginning so they can easily play like that.
Yeah, Shai's technique.
In the really fast time controls. Yeah, it's the Shai method. We should make a book and put it on Chessable. The Shai technique. So ever wonder how to play really fast and win every game? Start with a losing position.
Yeah, sack 3 pawns in the Stafford Gambit. Easy.
I think we should make a meme chess book. I've been planning it for a while. I just don't have the like resources in my life right now to do it. I was planning to do a series like how to win up a rook, how to win up a queen, how to win up a knight. I thought that'd be really funny. So here's the Stafford Gambit, as mentioned. Speak of the devil. Here it is. I thought here that. So Phoenix, this was your prep. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? I'm guessing it was your prep.
I don't play the Stafford Gambit, but I know Shai plays also doesn't play the Stafford Gambit because what I found online was just terrible. So I was like, well, might as well take advantage of the fact that I don't think he knows what he's doing in the Stafford. So that could be a free win. It should have been a free win, but sometimes
win some, lose some. So,
yeah.
I feel like I spent a minute here noting that your prep was I think once you brought the bishop out, I spent a minute.
Right here.
Oops, I'm in danger. The Simpsons meme.
Yeah. The kid's hanging from a tree branch or something, right? I think I've seen that one. Something weird with the Simpsons.
Funny about your games though, you play terribly, but you're actually winning all your games in the Stafford. From what I've found, I think your record's not terrible.
That seems about right.
It's really the Shai method.
The kid from the I'm in danger meme features a funny role in the Simpsons episode where they are in an armed conflict with other people on the playground. I just want to throw that out there in case you're a Simpsons fan. That was a really funny episode. So this was interesting. What was up with D4?
It was sacking a couple more pawns to just not be in danger.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty pragmatic approach, and probably bishop d4 is the best. I think you got in a really bad position quickly, so probably what you need to do here is play on this move d3, which is probably hard to anticipate, just so you can play bishop e2 and castle at some point. I have a video that's dropping in a week that's a refutation for the Stafford Gambit, so you can check that out when it comes out.
Yeah, if you played d3, I honestly would not. I'd probably lose the game. I wouldn't even have played the Stafford against you if you just played d3. But since you played knight,
Knight
c3, I thought I had chances.
Yeah, I think if you play a natural move here, you're in a lot of danger. And this is kind of what you're going for, probably, Phoenix, right? Something like this, where you get knight g4, and then
He's
queen
played
h4.
bishop c4, I think. Yeah, and then I thought I had knight, what is it, knight g5? Or yeah,
knight g4.
Yeah, some kind of nasty memes.
And then this probably forced mate in this position, because you have to play h3, and then this, and then from here there's an interesting line, a funny line.
I saw all the lines are insanely hard to see for this.
So I guess d4 is a really good choice, considering that you already played knight c3, just to take some of the spice out of it. And bishop e3 maybe it also is forced. Here's a weird idea: queen d2. Anyway, yeah, things are just kind of blown up with knight e4. I think this is a winning endgame already. Maybe the thing to do here is not bishop d3. Try to hold on to this one extra pawn for dear life. Not that it's an extra pawn, but just don't lose it. Maybe play c4, and then if we see this, the knight could get trapped. That might be a good idea. Try to play king d2. I don't know. Interesting ideas. Hard to play this kind of position. I got a position that was similarly bad against George in the simul on Friday, where the pieces are just awkwardly placed, So it's hard to suggest good moves. There was an interesting moment here for Shai. I know that later in the game we saw some...
I saw it right after there. I missed the opportunity.
Right here you missed it?
So right after I played F5, or F6 I mean.
Uh-huh. So you missed it, you had this one.
I missed it here.
Yeah, this is fun.
Here, after I moved F6.
Oh, so you had it one move earlier,
this.
and then after... Why is it going back? Stop it. Alright, anyway, so after F6, yeah, now you almost have your chance. I thought here you would go for Bishop G5 to try to entice pawn takes F6. But it worked out better for you in the end, that you played this innocuous-looking move.
Yeah, good stuff. I would never really considered, was it C4?
No.
Explosive stuff.
Bang. Yeah, this is a really strong move. I think that probably for you, Phoenix, like if you have a knight on A2, before you attend to other things, you should bring it back.
Yeah.
Like knight C3 here looks good. Because the only way he can get counterplay is by trapping your knight, pretty much, right? It's one of those things where you ask the question, like, what could possibly go wrong? And the answer is that you lose your knight. So you just bring it on back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess we could probably skip through here because this was kind of just a conversion of being up material, right? I thought it was interesting, actually, Phoenix, that you did not take on F6 at any point. I thought this was the way to go.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
So you can get your
it's a good protection pawn, unless you have like no other pieces, which ended up being the case.
I still think the pawn's weak, but it's better than, like, for instance, I thought one thing that Shai could have done is play rook G3 here, so that you play G6, so that when they come back, they're threatening like something dangerous potentially. Let's say you play H5, then throw this check, and then maybe even checkmate. Well, here you have G5, so you save yourself. But the idea is Bishop G7 followed by Rook H8, or this, just winning the F pawn and promoting the F pawn. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Some interesting ideas here. Probably you should just take on F6, but I think that's the last really interesting thing in this position.
Yeah, the rest is sad and miserable.
Yes.
Darkness and cold.
Tired and bored.
Oh, for sure.
This was... Alright, so this was the game where you played the right move order with C3. Not that like other move orders are strictly wrong, you're not allowed to play them, but like this gives you good chances. Terrible!
Yeah.
Now, after castling and all this stuff, we're in some prep. And Shai, you blundered a piece here, right?
Yep.
This position's very similar to the first games.
I have a feeling I blundered this piece in this exact same way at least like 10 times.
In other games? It's something to look out for. I think the in-between move, bishop takes b3, is pretty solid, because if they play queen takes and attack b7, you can just drop back and protect it, because bishops move like that. And everything else is like kind of snug here. So you can take on d4 and then take on b3, or you can just take on b3. Those are both nice. And I think this was kind of like the main thing here, until Phoenix allowed counterplay.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, okay.
Yeah, you succeeded in that. I think that here the knight g6 thing, it's still good, but I probably would take this one. Like, just get rid of that center pawn, so you have a long-term advantage, and it's on its way to f4 anyway.
Yeah, I was confused why he didn't do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I hate I said Phoenix by accident. Yeah, so
Bishop takes knight here.
Yeah, you're right. So trades are bad is what we were thinking in the chat, that you're like just worried that this is going to be bad. But for you, I think a lot of counterplay will come from having this knight on f4, or from having the center pawns to advance. Like here, all right, so knight e4, knight looks good, but it stops knight f4 if you're afraid of more trades. But what if you play knight e7 and then f5? Now you're getting a little bit of counterplay. So I think it's still worth it. Like, all of your pieces become active at that point. But after knight g6, it's unclear whether or not your pieces will ever be active, I think. Because they could still play knight e4. So you still can't play knight f4. I guess maybe you could get some counterplay like this. Yeah, maybe this is also fine, and I'm just kind of splitting hairs. E4 looks interesting because it's kind of a weakening move. But I guess if you're strictly against the idea of playing f5 and stuff, that makes sense. Shai, what do you think about h6 with the idea of knight h7, f5? Because you played the f pawn like several times in this match.
Do you like playing that f pawn?
Yeah, I think probably you could keep going with it, and that would be good. It would also stop this move. On this move, I thought g takes was a good idea to play f5 again, like just f5 for the win. Always move the f pawn. That's what Feingold said, I think. So after rook e4, I thought Phoenix had a great position. c5 was an interesting way to get counterplay, because obviously you can't take this. I think this is the best move, with the idea of rook e1.
I didn't actually see en passant there, and then right after he did it, it's like, I really should.
Yeah, what's en passant?
This is all the meme of Shai not knowing that the move that he played is good, like not knowing what's going to happen, not seeing anything.
Yeah, I thought this was like decent counterplay for. But I thought en passant was fine too. I thought like I'm just okay, and I have to.
I like en passant because your bishop's active now. I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like I activate my bishop, and now I'm just like okay.
Yeah, now you're threatening knight c6 for real.
For real?
For real. Now after rook e1, this is some danger, right, for Shai. But it's also a little bit dangerous for Phoenix because there could be some knight f3 shenanigans, but it just never really materialized. Knight c6 was a really good move to get rid of that everything. But after f4, I think you were just flying too close to the sun. I mean, you're already up a piece. Just get rid of the counterplay.
Yeah, I wanted the ball, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, but after f4, you're probably still fine. You go here, here, and then you just blundered the knight. That's all.
Yeah.
So what will we do here? I think knight takes e5 is possible. Hold on. No, not possible. It's an idea, but it just doesn't work because this bishop's here. So probably you should play. Let's see. Can we tempt queen c6 so that it's bad?
Why not just knight b4?
Knight b4 seems normal. I guess you should just go knight b4 and then knight d5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I just was like too like focused on like my my ball link and such. So
yeah,
this happens.
Here I thought that you would recover from the loss of a piece by playing knight e4 with a blockade. And if they play f5, you'll just wait for them to move one pawn, and then you'll just like blockade that too. Just try to go for some counterplay like that. But it's really hard when you are like winning, and then the position suddenly changes a lot, and then you're just kind of like thrown off. There's a little bit's been written about it. It is kind of hilarious though, when people like lose a piece and then like just more things come afterwards.
Yeah, that was the whole entire match.
This was a really interesting move.
Second blunder that gets you.
I actually didn't see queen b1 at first. My first instinct was like, you can't even play queen d8. But queen b1's clearly much better, so kudos on finding this. That was a nice tactic. Alright, well, unless you guys have some more comments, maybe we should just wrap it up here. That was a really good post-mortem and everything.
Yeah, thanks for the game, Shai.
Yeah, thank you guys for playing. So, Shai, you qualify for the Fan Fight Invitationals, which will happen probably in the summer this year, since you won this match. And Phoenix, you'll have to challenge somebody else and beat them if you want to qualify too.
Yeah. I don't think I win these. I think that's, like, forbidden.
Is it because of the timing? Probably. I feel like the timing...
I kind of think so, but...
This is probably, like, your global minimum over the course of a week in terms of, like, your energy for playing chess, like at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
I'm not good at waking up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, but yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to change my schedule. It's just that my regular schedule for my job and everything is just like ridiculous already, so I haven't been able to manage. But
I bought 4 cans of Monster for this morning, and I only drank 1.
So
damn.
That's funny.
What kind of Monster was it? Fuck. Are we allowed to curse in this stream?
Yeah, you're allowed. We'll just pretend it didn't happen. What kind of monster was it? I remember they used to have a green monster that was pretty good, but I don't think they make it anymore. Or was it orange?
It was the green one. It was Monster Ultra Paradise.
Ultra Paradise?
It sounds like cancer.
Could you imagine being in the... It probably is literal cancer. But also, could you imagine being in the, like, corporate meeting where, like, alright, guys, sales are down. What are we gonna do? And they're like, we're gonna do Paradise. And they're like, what? Paradise? And they just, like, go back and forth on, like, the branding of the next monster and just settle on that somehow. I feel like that's an interesting conversation to have. Like, how you settle on that kind of name. Alright, well, anyway, I guess we'll wrap up here.
If you ever want to play any casual games, let me know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that sounds good. So just to the guys who are asking if we have a stream schedule and everything, my schedule is most predictable on YouTube. Right now, I am streaming every Sunday at 8 a.m., and I'm planning to do simuls and things with the viewers on Fridays. Also, I should say 8 a.m. in Central Time, U.S., so the schedule will be more apparent in your time zone if you look on YouTube. Sometimes my links aren't working lately because I'm trying out a restream, and it's been kind of finicky, but I'm working on that. So hopefully everything will be scheduled and posted properly in the near future. Anyway, thanks, guys. I'll stop the stream here, and if you guys want to see more of this, you can all subscribe and like or whatever, follow it. All right, take care, everyone. Thanks for showing up.
Shut up.